let's just be brutally honest right out of the gate. You're suffering. And you're suffering because, on some deep, subconscious level, you actually believe the universe owes you comfort. You think that if you just work hard enough, or if you just worry long enough, you can somehow bend reality to your will. But the cold, hard truth of our existence? It's entirely different. Welcome to this explainer, where we are going to completely tear down those deeply rooted illusions that are keeping you trapped in this endless cycle of anxiety and frustration. We're going to look straight into the void. We're going to confront the absolute realities of pain, and we're going to learn the ancient psychological alchemy required to forge a truly unbreakable mind.
Look closely at this reality. The cosmos is completely indifferent to your existence. It literally does not care about your promotions, your breakups, your bank account, or any of those daily anxieties keeping you up at night. Yet you spend your days agonizing over circumstances you can't even change. You are bleeding your precious mental energy dry, pouring it into this bottomless void of what-ifs and if-onlys, all while the clock is just ticking down mercilessly on your incredibly finite life. Now, this isn't meant to be pessimism, not at all. This is simply the ultimate, inescapable reality of the human condition. And until you accept this, you're going to remain a prisoner to forces entirely outside of your control.
Okay, let's dive into this, because to really understand this philosophy of ultimate mental survival, we have to look back over 2,000 years. Imagine a wealthy merchant named Zeno of Citium. He basically stands there and watches his ship sink to the bottom of a violent, turbulent sea. In a single, chaotic instant, forces completely out of his control reduce this powerful, affluent man to absolute poverty. His entire life's fortune, just swallowed by the ink-black ocean. Now, most men would have cursed the gods or just surrendered entirely to despair, right? But Zeno realized something profound. He realized that while the ocean had claimed his cargo, it could absolutely never claim his mind. And from the wreckage of that disaster, he built an empire of human resilience. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is the dichotomy of control. This stark dichotomy proves that while a wealthy man can survive the loss of his fortune, a man with absolutely nothing can still conquer his own world. Enter Epictetus. He wasn't born into wealth, he was born into the brutal, crushing reality of Roman slavery. Historical accounts actually tell us his master violently twisted his leg until it literally snapped, leaving him crippled for the rest of his life. Yet, Epictetus didn't break psychologically. He looked at his ruined body and birthed the very bedrock of the Stoic mindset. He realized we have to ruthlessly separate the things in our absolute power, our thoughts, our impulses, our will, from the things that are not, like our bodies, our property, and our reputations.
He stared down the cold reality of his permanently shattered physical form, and he famously declared, "Lameness is an impediment to the leg, but not to the will." Just let that sink in for a second. A slave with a broken body found total, unwavering freedom inside his own mind. I want you to stop for a second right now and think about your own life. Think about those mental chains you willingly put on yourself every single morning. What is one thing in your daily life you are wasting energy trying to control? Drop it in the comments right now. Seriously, declare what you are letting go of today. Maybe it's an ex-partner, the state of the economy, a boss's opinion, whatever it is. Leave it in the comments and leave that burden behind.
So the crucial point is that simply letting go of control isn't enough to forge an unbreakable mind. There's a deadly trap here, one that destroys thousands of modern minds. Today, people use the word stoic to describe someone who represses their feelings, acting like this cold, emotionless machine. But that is a massive distortion. True Stoicism is not about emotional suppression, it's about emotional alchemy. The ancient Stoics drew a really sharp, brilliant distinction between modern apathy, which is basically just a numbness to life, and what they called apatheia, a state of profound, unshakable freedom from destructive passions.
You see, the Stoics mapped the human mind with brutal precision. When disaster strikes, a shattering glass, a sudden insult, a massive financial loss, you're going to experience an involuntary physiological reflex, a startle, a tear, a huge spike in your heart rate. They called this the Propathos, the biological flinch. Listen to me, you cannot control the flinch, it's just human nature. But what happens next? That is entirely 100% up to you. An irrational emotion only takes hold when your rational mind actually grants assent to a false judgment. You don't feel destructive anger simply because someone insults you. You feel it because you subconsciously make the judgment that their insult is an absolute, intolerable evil. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. By intercepting these judgments, we find that tiny, microscopic gap between a trigger and our response, and this brilliantly illustrates the whole foundation of modern cognitive behavioral therapy, which was tested in literally the most horrifying crucible imaginable. Consider the psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. He spent 3 agonizing years surviving the horrors of 4 different Nazi concentration camps. Stripped of his freedom, his possessions, and his basic human dignity, Frankl realized his captors completely controlled his physical environment, but they could not touch his mind. He realized the last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. He discovered that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response.
Frankl's survival is just a staggering testament to the unbelievable strength of the human spirit when it actually seizes that space. I want you to think about your darkest moment, the moment you thought you were completely broken, yet somehow you endured. Have you ever had a disaster turn into your greatest blessing? Share your experience below. Let others read your story and learn from your fire.
Yet, even if you master your emotions, you still face the ultimate, crushing realization of human existence, the void. When you look up into the silent, meaningless abyss of the cosmos, emotional control alone isn't going to save you from existential dread. Because how do you keep living when nothing inherently matters? The answer lies in the clash between 2 philosophical titans. For the Stoics, the cosmos was the logos, a deeply rational, interconnected organism governed by divine order. But existentialists, like Sartre and Camus, they looked at the exact same universe and saw no divine plan whatsoever. They saw only the absurd, that agonizing, vast collision between our human desperation for meaning and the cold, unreasonable silence of the universe.
To really illustrate this existential horror, Albert Camus pointed to the ancient Greek legend of Sisyphus. Condemned by the gods, Sisyphus is forced to push a massive, heavy boulder up a jagged mountain for all eternity, only to watch it violently roll right back down the moment he reaches the top. Muscle tearing, lungs burning, sweat blinding his eyes. It's an endless, futile, and seemingly meaningless existence. It's the ultimate metaphor for the human struggle. But Camus argued something radically defiant here. He said Sisyphus is the ultimate hero. Why? Because during that exhausting walk back down the mountain to retrieve his rock, he is fully conscious of his wretched fate, and he chooses to push it anyway. He rebels against the meaninglessness, simply by enduring it with a defiant smile.
Let's move forward and see how this builds into one of the most powerful psychological tools ever conceived. Because right here, the absurdist and the Stoic totally unite. Decades before Camus even wrote about Sisyphus, the fierce philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche declared, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity."
Amor Fati, the love of your fate. This right here is where you transcend simple survival. You don't just passively endure the suffering the universe hands you with gritted teeth. No, you actively embrace it. You learn not just to bear the bitter cold, but to genuinely love the winter. You learn to love the boulder you are pushing. True psychological power comes when you can look at the heaviest, hardest parts of your life and you boldly say, I wanted this. This is the exact fire that will forge me.
But listen to me carefully on this next point, because there is a final, critical layer to this transformation, and without it, you're headed straight for destruction. In today's relentless hustle culture, Stoicism is frequently misapplied as this mandate to endure endless toxic suffering without a single complaint. People suppress valid frustrations, they overcommit to meaningless tasks at 2 a.m. in dark offices, and they entirely isolate themselves from humanity, all while proudly calling themselves Stoic. This is a deadly trap. This misapplied philosophy turns resilience into rigid, brittle armor that disconnects you from the world, and it leads directly to profound emotional detachment, shattered minds, and severe burnout.
Because true Stoicism, it isn't a philosophy of isolation at all. It's about supreme balance and expansive connection. The Stoic philosopher Aurelius developed this beautiful concept of Oikeiosis. Imagine yourself at the center of glowing concentric circles rippling outward across the globe. You're surrounded by circles of concern, beginning with yourself and expanding outward to your family, your friends, and ultimately the entire human race. To practice this correctly, you must draw these circles inward. You actually have to treat strangers as friends, recognizing your deep, grounding connection to the rest of humanity, understanding that hurting others is inherently hurting yourself.
And honestly, no one understood this heavy burden of connection better than the Emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius. He was literally the most powerful man on the planet, capable of indulging every earthly desire. Yet, during his reign, he faced the devastating Antonine Plague, endless bloody wars on the frontier, and deep, bitter betrayal by his closest generals. He easily could have retreated into isolation. He could have been consumed by wrath and anger. Instead, he relied on the ultimate fortress of character: wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. He sat alone in his war tent at night, writing his meditations, not for an audience, not to be published, but just to remind himself to remain good and to continue serving humanity even when humanity was deeply flawed.
Stoicism is not an escape from reality. It's a profound, fearless engagement with it. Your character is the absolute only true fortress you have in a universe of pure chaos. And Marcus Aurelius left us with a final, piercing command that should echo in your mind every single day. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one.
So, look closely at your life. Look at the boulder you are pushing right now. Are you going to let the universe drag you kicking and screaming through a life of misery? Will you continue to let the strings pull you, or are you starting your rescue today? Let me know your commitment.